Hey guys, this is the Bearded Guitarist. So today we'll try to understand what the 9th, 11th and 13th are in the chords that we are going to play and how to use them on guitar. So a few shapes that might be helpful when you play these kind of chords. So the first thing that you have to know, the first thing that you have to have clear in your mind is that when you play a chord, let's say that you play a major or a minor chord, let's say a C major or a C minor chord, the notes that you have in the chord are the root, the third and the fifth. Now, when you play a major chord, you're going to have the major third. When you play the minor chord, you're going to have the minor third, while the fifth is actually the same. So the fifth is the perfect fifth. So in the case of a C major, you do have C, E, G, and in a C minor, you've got C, E flat, G. Now, this is when you play triads, so basically when you play chords with 3 notes. If you extend this to the 7th and you make the 7th chords, you're gonna get either a major 7th chord, or a minor 7th chord, or a dominant 7 chord, okay? Several different shapes for these. If you also know the diminished triads, you might want to create a half diminished chord, so a minor 7 flat 5. Okay, but to keep it simple today, we'll focus on 3 7th chords only, the major 7th, the minor 7th and the dominant 7th. Now, here is where you start when you want to understand, when you want to practice and study what the 9th, the 11th and the 13th are. Okay, so basically when we make these chords, we go by thirds. So I go from the 1st degree, the root, to the 3rd, then from the 3rd, to the 5th, and from the 5th I will go either to the minor or major 7th. So 5th minor 7th or 5th major 7th, depending whether I want a minor 7 or a major 7th or a dominant 7 chord. But if I continue after the numbers 1, 3, 5, 7, if I keep going by thirds, I will find the number 9. Okay, so if I do root or 1, then 3, 5, 7, 9, I'm just playing a major 9 chord. Okay, so I'm just going literally by thirds every time, and you can probably imagine that after the 9th, if I go by thirds, I will find the 11th and then the 13th. So I've got a total of 7 notes, but 7 notes are nothing but the 7 notes of the C major scale, for example. If you think about the major scale or the natural minor scale. Okay, so it's just the way you create the chords which is different, because you go by thirds, you get your triads 1, 3, 5, then you get your 7th chord 1, 3, 5, 7, and then if you go by thirds again and you get to the 9th, you get 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, okay, and so on and so forth. And that 9th, 11th and 13th is nothing but the 2nd, the 4th and the 6th degree that you didn't use in the first octave. When you basically went 1 to 3, you were skipping the 2nd degree. When you went 3 to 5, you were skipping the 4th degree. And when you go 5 to 7th, you are skipping the 6th degree, okay? And you play them 1 octave higher, making them the 9th, the 11th and the 13th, but still belonging to the same scale. So that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you basically use only 1, 3, 5, 7, and you get that 2, 4, 6, 1 octave higher as 9th, 11th, 13th. Okay, so this is the theory. This is how you use the 9th, 11th and 13th, where they come from. Let's see a few examples on the fretboard, okay? Again, these are only a few examples. These are not all of the positions that you might want to learn on guitar to use these chords, but they are a few basic positions that you should know. So let's start with the dominant 7 chord, okay? The tensive chord, the one that gives you the tension and then you release on the 1. Usually you find the dominant 7th chord on the 5th degree of a particular key. So let's say that I'm playing a C7, okay? I now want to extend this to the 9th. So I'm gonna play a C7-9 or just C9. This is the position I'm going to use, and the note that I added was the 9th, so basically the 2nd degree D, 1 octave higher. Now, most of the times you stop here, so you can play either this way or this way, but you stop on the 2nd string where the 9th is. However, in this way you are dropping the 5th, so you are doing an omit 5. So you're not playing the 5th, you're only playing 1, 3, not 5, 7, 9. If you do want the 5th, you can play it again here, 1 octave higher basically, and you don't lose anything. You're literally playing the 5 notes that you have in a 9th chord, okay? But that's gonna be up to you. It depends on kind of like the style that you're playing, the song and everything else. But anyway, this is the dominant 7th chord extended to the 9th. What if you want to extend it to the 11th? When we extend it to the 11th, we do have a problem because the 11th, for what we said before, is nothing but the 4th degree. And the 4th degree has a distance of only half step from the 3rd, from a very important note in the chord. This makes it a little bit dissonant to most ears. So for that reason, we don't really use both the 3rd and the 11th or the 3rd and the 4th simultaneously in the same chord when the 3rd is major. So if I've got the major 3rd on whatever octave you want to use it, I will not use the perfect 4th or perfect 11th then. So what I will do instead, I will remove the 3rd in order to use the 4th. And this is when you get a sus chord. So the position that you more likely use is going to be this. Okay, again, this is not the only one. You could play like this. It's nothing but a B flat triad with a C on the bass. Now you can say this is a B flat over C, but even better, you should consider C your root note, and therefore this is a C9 sus4. Okay. In this sense, you are using the 11th because the 11th or 4th is the same thing, but it's very important to understand that we are using it because we remove the 3rd, okay? So we're never going to use 3rd and 4th together when the 3rd is major, okay? So in this way, you use both the 9th and the 11th. So it kind of like you extend it from the 7th till the 11th, so including the 9th and the 11th, okay? You could do the same even with the 13th, but again, if you extend to the 13th, you either play the 13th by itself, so you play root, major 3rd, perfect 5th, or maybe you skip it again, you omit the perfect 5th, minor 7th and then 13th, and therefore you get this chord, okay? So this is a C13 or C713, right? Or you might want to play the 9th as well, and you could use it in the same octave this way. Or if you want to go back to the position that we were using for the 9th, you stretch your little finger, typical funk voicing, and you get the 9th here and the 13th here. You play them together and you get your C13 or better C9 13th. Again, I'm not using the 11th for what we said before because we do have the major 3rd in these chords. Then if I change my chord and I go to the major 7th, so there's my C major 7th. If I want to extend it to the 9th, this is pretty straightforward. It follows the same logic. So I do 1, 3, 5, 7, and then extend it to the 9th, and I get this major 9th position. When I play this, I'm omitting the 5th again. I will not play the 11th here because of what we said before, because if we use the major 3rd, we're not using the 11th, the 4th, and also because even if you remove the 3rd and you use the 4th instead, making a sus4 chord, it never sounds good with the major 7. So it would be like this. You know, it's always dissonant. It never sounds like really good. So the other extension that you can use is the 13th, and again you can use the 13th together with the 9th, but that would be pretty uncomfortable here with this kind of voicing, or by itself, and in that sense you can go with the root on the 6th string and play this major 13th chord, which is a beautiful chord. And then if you want, you put the little finger down and you get the 9th as well. Okay, beautiful. This is a C major 9 13 or just C major 13th, which means that your C major 7th has been extended to the 9th and to the 13th. Okay, then if I do the last type of chord that we want to analyze today, so the minor 7, which is this one, okay, I can extend it to the 9th, and again this is pretty straightforward. The 1, minor 3, then perfect 5th, minor 7th extends now to the 9th, and I get this typical jazzy bossa nova chord. I can extend to the 11th with no issues here because I don't have the major 3rd, I've got the minor 3rd, therefore I can do this, which is a C minor 11, your C minor 7 extended to the 11th. On both these two voicings, this one and this, I'm omitting the 5th because they are too many notes, and also because they are rather uncomfortable to play all together on guitar. The problem that we have with the C minor 7 is going to be with the 13th. It just doesn't sound good if you use the 13th. Both if you use the major 13th, like in a Dorian chord, or the minor 13th, like in an Aeolian chord. You know, yeah. You can find them from time to time, but again, this is not the best extension that you can use with a minor 7th chord. More likely you will use it on a dominant 7th chord, okay? So to recap, on the minor 7th we can use the 9th, we can use the 11th, and we can't use the flat 6 or flat 13 or the major 13th either. So yeah, these are only a few positions that you might want to check out. But again, what is really important is that you understand that those numbers 9, 11, 13, that they might seem scary when you just started, when you just get started. But again, they're nothing but the 2nd, 4th and 6th degree that you don't use when you make your triads, when you make your 7th chords, and you're gonna use them 1 octave higher. With this in mind, and with the explanations that we gave about the single type of chords, major 7, minor 7 and dominant 7, you should be overall okay to learn how to use and when to use the 9th rather than the 11th or the 13th, and when you know that they are not gonna sound good. If you feel curious about it and you want to know even more, I do have another video which explores another topic like the altered dominant 7 chord, which means what the flat 5, sharp 5 or flat 9 and sharp 9 mean, and how you can use them, and a few positions that you can use on guitar. So maybe if you feel curious, you can check that out as well. If you want to continue exploring this topic, you can explore what a half diminished chord or a diminished 7th chord are and how you can use the extensions in those chords. If you have any specific questions or you would like me to explore or go deeper on some of these positions or some of these chords, please feel free to get in touch, leave a comment below. And if you did enjoy this video and you learned something from it, please feel free to like it, share it and subscribe to the channel, activate the notifications with the icon, with the bell icon, because this would really help me a lot. So that's all for today, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll be seeing you next week with a new video.